When your cat sits beside you in silence, do you actually know what that means? Yes, it feels comforting. It looks like simple companionship, but behind that quiet presence there is something deeper that most people miss. It is one of the most emotionally loaded things your cat can do. And if you ignore it, which most owners do, you might miss the moment your cat is trying to reach you when you need it most. Let's start with what that quiet presence really means. It is not just company, it is awareness. Have you ever noticed how your cat chooses to sit near you when everything feels heavy? Most people think it is just coincidence or that the cat simply wants a place to rest. But here is what is actually happening. Cats are highly sensitive to emotional shifts in their environment. They pick up on changes in your movement, your breathing, even your silence. That quiet moment when the Maine Coon sits beside the man who has stopped living is not random. It is awareness. Think about that for a second. Your cat is not just near you. They are noticing you. And by the way, if your cat ever starts staying close to you more than usual, especially during difficult times, do not brush it off. We will get to what that really means at the end, and it is something most owners wish they had understood sooner. Your pain changes their behavior. Have you ever wondered why some cats suddenly become more present when you are at your lowest? Most people assume cats are independent, they do not care in the same way dogs do. But here is what is actually happening. A 2019 study from Oregon State University found that cats form attachment bonds similar to infants, but they express it through subtle proximity and behavioral shifts. Animal cognition research also shows that cats adjust their behavior based on human emotional states. That means when your energy changes, they respond. Think about that for a second. The Maine Coon did not just enter a house. It entered a broken emotional space. And instead of avoiding it, it moved closer. That is not indifference. That is connection. They claim you when you cannot claim yourself. Have you ever noticed your cat rubbing against you or sitting on your clothes? Most people think it is affection. But here is what is actually happening. Cats use scent glands in their face and body to mark what belongs to them. They create what behaviorists call a shared scent environment. When the Maine Coon settles into the man's space, lies on his chair, or presses against him, it is doing something deeper. It is claiming him. Think about that for a second. At a time when he feels disconnected from everything, the cat is quietly saying, "You still belong somewhere." What makes this even more meaningful is that scent for a cat is identity. And in that moment, you become part of theirs. And hey, if this makes sense to you, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more cat lovers who actually want to understand what their cat is really saying. This comes from something ancient. Have you ever wondered why cats respond this way instead of avoiding sadness? Most people think animals avoid negative energy. But here is what is actually happening. In the wild, cats rely on close bonds for survival, especially between mothers and kittens. Grooming, proximity, and presence regulate safety. These behaviors are not learned. They are inherited. Think about that for a second. The Maine Coon is not trying to fix the man's pain. It is doing what cats have always done. Staying close. Providing calm. Creating safety. And here is where it gets even more powerful. Domestic cats have adapted this instinct to humans. So when your cat stays with you during emotional pain, they are treating you like someone worth protecting. They do not do this for everyone. Have you ever noticed your cat ignores most people but chooses you? Most people assume cats are just picky. But here is what is actually happening. Behavioral studies on cats show that they form selective bonds. They choose specific individuals based on trust, consistency, and emotional safety. They do not distribute their attention equally. Think about that for a second. That Maine Coon could have stayed distant. It could have avoided the silence. But it did not. It chose him. And that choice means something. Not everyone gets that presence. Not everyone gets that quiet loyalty. This is what most people never realize. Have you ever wondered why that silent companionship feels so powerful? This is what most owners never realize. Here is what is actually happening. When a cat chooses to sit with you without asking for anything, they are lowering their guard. They are not hunting. Not scanning. Not protecting themselves. They are resting in your presence. Think about that for a second. That is vulnerability. And remember earlier when I said if your cat stays close to you more during difficult times, do not ignore it. This is what I was talking about. Because that behavior is not passive. It is intentional. The Maine Coon did not just fill the space. It shared it. That is not just companionship. That is emotional support in its purest form. When that presence disappears. Have you ever noticed when a cat suddenly stops coming near you? Most people assume nothing is wrong. But here is what is actually happening. Studies on domestic cats reveal that changes in proximity behavior often signal stress, discomfort, or emotional withdrawal. Cats do not confront. They retreat. Think about that for a second. If that quiet presence fades, that is the message. This is where most owners get it wrong. They wait for something obvious. But with cats, the absence of behavior is everything. Do not ignore it. So when your cat sits beside you in silence, do you actually know what that means? It might feel like simple company. It might look like nothing at all. But behind that quiet presence there is something deeper. It is awareness. It is connection. It is a choice to stay. That is not just companionship. That is trust. And that small moment when your cat comes close and stays. It was never small to them. And it should not be small to you either.